Thank you, Rabbi.
Oh, for sure, Michelle. It's so nice to have you here.
So
It's so nice that you agreed to have you. I know that you're such a busy
very busy.
person.
Thank God, Baruch
and,
Hashem. Very busy. But yeah, I'm a registered dietitian, nutritionist. I'm also a certified diabetes educator, and I'm also an integrated functional credential practitioner. So I wear a lot of many hats. I work, I've been in the field of nutrition for over 20 years. I work part-time at a diabetes clinic. I work as a professor at a local college. And I also have my own consulting company, Focus Nutrition Consultants, where we provide nutrition counseling services. We provide menu development. We provide nutrition education classes, and many other things like that.
Listen, I'll tell you, I know you for I think 20 years.
Probably.
Like I said, I have this hood to be part of your family and the smachot and
Yes.
and the weddings and the biggest wedding, the nicest wedding that I have was his sister's wedding that we did it in Israel right in front of the Kotel, David. So that was a highlight of my life with all your family. But I always knew that you do nutrition, but it didn't mean anything to me until, and this is the first time that I'm going to share this, until I actually, about 9 months ago, I found out, I'll tell you what, it was actually a miracle. I went to the eye doctor because I play tennis, and I couldn't see well, it was like blurry. So I went to the eye doctor, and the eye doctor said, "How old are you?" So I said, "I'm 48. Well, you should go to the doctor because it doesn't make sense that all of a sudden your number goes up." So, well, I said, fine. I call my doctor. And then she says, go right away to Walgreens, buy the machine and get your blood tested. I didn't know what it was. I have never heard of it. I'm saying I heard people have it. And all of a sudden I find out that my numbers are really, really high.
Blood sugar numbers.
Blood sugar high, yes. Very, very high. And I didn't even call my doctor because she told me, it has to be between, 300 and 400. And I didn't call her back because I was so afraid. But right away, basically I went on a fast and then I called you right away. And then I really saw what nutrition does to a person's life.
Right.
And basically, so I went to the doctor, they did, testing. But the first thing she said is this, go to in Aventura, there is a very good nutritionist, Michelle Larrea. I said, oh, do I know her?
Small world.
And Baruch Hashem, and I have to tell you that you've been really a big, big part of my healing process, Baruch Hashem, of this. And as challenging as it is, and I want to talk to you about it because one of my jokes is like, if you're Jewish and you're skinny, you're doing it wrong. It's Pesach coming up. We have a matzah. We have 4 cups of wine. Tell us a little bit. How do you balance those two?
It's definitely challenging. It's funny because just yesterday I had a private client that she's married to a rabbi. And she said to me, I think that your number one client is probably rabbis.
Yes,
because they have
they
big
should
bellies.
be. They should be the rabbis who come, but they don't come.
Yeah, because you spend so many hours, teaching, and usually when that comes, it comes along with food. There's always food served, right? As good Jewish people, there's always blessings for food.
And not all of the food, like they say, the kosher is more healthier.
I would have to defer, unfortunately, with that. I think the actual real food that comes from the ground and the meat, I agree that definitely it's healthier because we have very high standards. But unfortunately, I feel that because of the world of kashrut, dairy, meat, especially the parv world, unfortunately, is very, very unhealthy.
Because it's processed.
Because it's very processed and it has tons of additives and preservatives and fillers and that are just very, very inflammatory for the body. And it's a real shame because we've gotten used to that, we cook with margarine because we want our desserts to be parve. But margarine is like one of the worst foods that we can consume for our hearts.
Right.
So, you know where that came from?
No.
Margarine?
Margarine, right.
So margarine
is what is like.
so
it's
a hydrogenated oil.
Okay.
So it's a hydrogenated vegetable oil. What does that mean? Basically, they take vegetable oils that at room temperature are liquid, right? Think about whatever, corn oil, soybean oil, any vegetable oil, avocado oil, at room temperature, or olive oil, it's liquid. But what they did is that, and this was quite some years ago, during the rise of the Industrial Revolution, they wanted to, first actually they started creating, this fat was, they realized that when they pumped hydrogen into it, it became a very solid fat. And actually they were giving it to chickens, and the chickens started dying from heart disease.
For giving them margarine. But why would they give them margarine?
Because it would fatten them up.
Fatten them up.
Right, they were giving them kind of like Crisco. It was fattening them up, but they were dying
so it
of heart
doesn't
disease.
kill us, but it's fattening us up.
So no, it does kill us because it was giving the chickens heart
It
disease.
just takes longer.
It just takes longer. So they realized that the fat was a very, very stable fat. So like it preserves, it extends the shelf life of products. So they started using it on cakes, on cookies, on breads, everything that you can imagine, and it would stay on the shelf forever and ever and ever.
So
it wouldn't go bad.
Preservatives is like oil, hydrogenated
oil. And but what we realize is that these hydrogenated oils have this type of fat that is called trans fat, which is a man-made oil that does not exist in nature. And what happens is that our body can't get rid of it. Doesn't have an ability to get rid of it, and it adds up, stays in the body, and it builds up. And that's what ends up causing heart plaque formation and heart attacks and all these horrible things.
So I'll give a viewers a little bit of what parve is. A lot of people don't even know what parve is. I found out because for us, who keep kosher, it's a very big word, because basically after you eat meat, actually last week it was the parsha of Shmini, was the parsha that we speak about the kosher. And one of the things is that you're not allowed to eat meat and milk together.
Correct.
Meat products with dairy products. That excludes fish, which you are allowed to eat it together with dairy. But chicken and meat, you're not allowed to eat it together. And after meat, since it takes a long time to digest, so you have to wait 6 hours until you can eat dairy products. So basically the big problem was that nobody wanted to eat meat, because then they wouldn't be able to have ice cream or a cheese Danish or anything like that. So what did they do? They came up with this idea of parve, which is foods that are parve that you can eat.
So it doesn't have meat or dairy.
Right. So like let's say that was the big deal was the first one was soy milk, right?
Right.
Soy milk was a big thing for kosher keeping people, because
now you can have a coffee after your meal with a little bit of soy milk, right?
Right. And then you can have ice cream, and you can have everything. So a Shabbat meal that you never saw ice cream because it was always dairy, now you see a Shabbat meal and then a dairy, which is great.
Right. It's great as long as it's done properly.
Yeah, no, they great,
right?
great. No.
So it's definitely the essence of kashrut, of kosher, is amazing. I mean, if you really think about it, what makes a meat kosher? What makes it kosher?
Salting it and taking
out the blood. But what else? They examine the animal to make sure that all of the internal organs are healthy, right? So it's a very healthy product.
Right, because otherwise the animal is already sick. So basically its meat is sick. Right.
And then also we do it in a way where the animal doesn't suffer, right? So it's really the essence of eating kosher meat and kosher chicken. It's very humane. It's very clean. There's a lot of benefits from it. We need to go back to those basics, right?
We need to what?
Go back to those basics.
Yes, of course. So it would be. So I'll tell you one of the things that I learned from it. So basically, I want to tell everybody that basically Michelle put me on a no sugar, no bread Yeah, what is the bread? What is the bread?
Carbs.
No
Carbohydrate
carbs.
starches.
No sugar, no carbs, but it was like first 2 months, it was completely nothing. And he was basically having breakfast sometimes with meat or chicken because there was nothing else.
Right.
You know, all of our breakfast food nowadays
It's all carbs.
is sugar based.
Yes.
And so I will tell you, this is what I came up with.
Yes.
And I call the sugar and the silent killers. And I'll tell you my experience. I told you this, I shared this with you obviously, and it was after 3 days after I stopped with the sugar, I had withdrawals.
Yes, we talked about it.
Yes.
What did
withdrawals, but like,
what did I tell you?
well, I don't remember telling you.
I told you that when it comes to diabetes, usually when you start really cutting down on the sugars, so there's research that shows that when the sugars are high, especially with diabetics that have uncontrolled diabetes and very, very high blood sugars.
The Baruch Hashem, I don't have diabetes, I have pre, and I can still turn it back, right?
Yes,
but,
we can definitely reverse it.
But I did, at that time it was very
high blood sugars. So what happens is that they've done a lot of studies, and they show that the same pleasure points that light up in scans in the brain for addictions to drugs and alcohols are the same pleasure points that light up when blood sugars are very high in the brain. And so when people that have very, very high blood sugars, when they start bringing down their blood sugars to normal levels, the brain is not happy at all. It's actually a withdrawal. And it's literally the same, it can be the same symptoms of somebody that is going to a rehab unit for drugs or alcohol, and they're cleansing their body from this addiction. And sugar is the same thing. The problem is that we eat, right?
Yeah,
so it's much more challenging. It's much more challenging. So I always feel like there is a business plan there, you know, to do a rehab unit for a diabetic. Yeah.
Oh, so I'll tell you. So the first 3 days, I told you, I was sweating in the floor, crawling in the floor, sweating like I felt like a drug addict recovering. It was like such withdrawals that I have never felt before, and it was 2 days. Yeah. The day was fine, the night it was the worst, and it would come back. And then once I passed through that, it was like I felt like a different person. Right. I'll tell everybody, and I tell you, I was playing tennis. I have glasses, about 3.5, 3.5, since I'm 8 years old. I'm a yeshiva student. I learned my whole life was in front of a book. I always had glasses. And when I stopped eating sugar for the first time in my life, I was playing tennis without glasses. Wow. Nothing. I was driving, I was seeing it clear. Incredible. Now my numbers were down, but they're not, you know, like it was before. Right. My numbers are much lower, but I was like completely, like my eyesight was perfect.
So what happened?
My skin got better, my sleep was better. It was like I was different. I was like living a different reality for who I am.
Amazing.
I was like walking, and I felt like I was floating. It's like really. Yeah. I was like that time when I passed through that, like that whole 2 months. It was like I felt like I was floating. I didn't feel like the usual tiredness or heaviness or.
So what are the symptoms? The symptoms of high blood sugar or pre-diabetes or diabetes. The common one that most people know is excessive thirst. People feel very thirsty.
That's how I felt in
right? Excessive urination, because the more you drink, the more you're peeing also. And urinating is a way of trying to get rid of some of that sugar. Blurry vision is a very, very common side effect of high blood sugars. When the blood sugars are high.
Why the eyesight?
Yeah, so when sugar is very high in our bloodstream, it actually makes all of our vessels dilate, because the body's trying to get rid of, it's trying to make that blood flow to try to get rid of, process that sugar and get rid of it. So it becomes very dilated. So that's what happens.
So when you dilate, you can see what.
Yeah, like when you dilate your eyes when you were going for an eye exam. What happens? It becomes blurry. That's what happens.
That's insane.
Yeah, yeah. So those are all very typical symptoms of high blood sugars, and a lot of people just kind of like think, oh, this is normal. Becomes like they normalize it,
right?
And they don't, and for many years sometimes, and then all of a sudden, God forbid, they end up with a flu or with a cold or something, and it just gets out of hand, and then end up in the hospital with a
Right.
severe condition. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And connecting it again to Judaism, which is like
Very
this
important.
beard represents. But I'll tell you, one of the things that I love to teach is if we learn how to see how the Torah values are not only to keep the mitzvot and to do the right thing, but also is for your benefit.
Right.
And one of the big things that I see is that the blessings before the food and the washing your hands before bread, this is all like kind of like puts a pause when you eat and when you're not. You can't like pass by a fast food and stuff in a burger, because you have to wash your hands and say Birkat Hamazon, and you have to think twice. Oh, do I want to do all that? And a lot of people, during the week, you don't want to eat bread because you say, oh, I want to eat a slice of pizza, but then I have to wash, and then I have to bench, and so you say, and before we eat any food, the fact that you have to do a blessing before you eat or drink something, it gives you a second to think about it.
100%.
No? What do you think about it?
So it's very interesting that you say that, because now there's this whole movement of mindfulness, right? Everything is about mindfulness.
Yeah.
Right. Well, there's a whole movement on mindfulness when it comes to to eating, right? And it's very, very powerful. And that's something that I try to. I totally agree with you. It makes you pause and think, right? But also, if we realize what a miracle it is to have the food that we have in front of us, what has to happen for that food to get there, right? Think about it.
Yeah.
That, first of all, especially if we're just something as simple as, I don't know, potato, right? But what has to happen for that potato to be on your plate, right? So the first thing is that somebody has to plant the seeds for it to grow. And it needs to rain, or they need to water it. Somebody has to gather it, clean it, package it, ship it, right? And there's so many and there's so many steps that have to happen.
Oh, you're saying that that's what mindfulness is?
That's part of the mindfulness practice. And when you become appreciative of what you have in front of you, and know that it's not because of you, there's something bigger, and in my opinion, it's because of God that all of this can happen. Right?
Well, that's
it's
what we're here,
right?
to teach about Hashem and how it affects, how is it,
right?
How is leading our lives.
So even taking a moment and pausing and saying a bracha, saying a blessing before we eat, is that way of acknowledging, thank you God for this miracle that you have in front of me, and how blessed we are that we have this, and other people in other parts of the world are lucky if they even get one meal a day, right?
You know what the word for mindfulness is in Hebrew?
What is it?
Kavanah.
Oh, wow.
Kavanah is a very big word, because when a person learns a little bit about mitzvot, he learns that it's not enough to do the mitzvah, but you have to have the kavanah. You have to have the proper intention.
Right.
So when you do it, you mean what you're doing. So you have to know what you're doing. So one of the interesting blessings that we have is the Asher Yatzar, which is the blessing that we do when we come out of the bathroom.
Right.
And we thank Hashem for the way our body works, the way it's supposed to.
It's a miracle.
And it says if the part of the blessing is if one of those part of the body would not work the way it should, you can survive even 1 minute.
Yeah, it is amazing.
It's incredible. And I think for me it was, listen, as a rabbi, I say, we have Shabbat meals all the time. And and the way we have Shabbat meals is we have 3-course meals plus dessert, and I never even gave it a second thought. Right. The only thing it was about trying to minimize the amount of that you're eating. At some point we started eating only 1 course because it was impossible to go.
Of course.
But it's a lot of food.
We overdo it. And to be honest with you, I think that so many people talk, oh, I'm going on this diet, oh, it's so restrictive, oh, it's this, or it's that. And really, if we start thinking about food as nourishment, what
as
are we
opposed to
as opposed to just
eating for fun.
Eating for whatever. You know, I'm bored. I just have all this food. I better eat it. Oh, I'm so hungry. Let me just go crazy on whatever I find. You know.
But you have to acknowledge that it's really hard for the average person who hasn't grown up with nutrition as part of their value. That is really hard to understand the idea.
It's very hard.
That everything that you have in front of you is, most of the bags in the store are unhealthy.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Very
but
unhealthy.
I think the biggest part is the lack of education. Because when people start learning and start understanding how that food that they're eating is affecting their body and what it's doing to your body, that awareness is very important. And things start changing in the people that start learning, you know, start becoming educated. You know, whether it's seeing me as a dietitian or any other, you know, nutritionist or healthcare provider, or even just nowadays with, you know, Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, it's just, there's so much information out there, and there is a lot of like, you know, not so great information also. But whoever really wants to learn, there's tons to learn, and it's just really wanting to acquire that information. But definitely the education component is huge, and one of the courses I teach with Miami-Dade College is like as Essentials to Nutrition. It's an Intro to Nutrition course, and it's a basic nutrition course. It's a requirement for students in the healthcare field. So like nurses have to take it as a requirement, but it's also elective. So just random people take it as well for their own interest. And the emails that I get, it's a virtual course. So, and I've been teaching this for 13 years, but the emails that I get at the end of each semester of my students, this course has changed my life, this course is changing my life and my family's life. It's really, it's very rewarding because it's really learning. And once you learn and you understand what food is doing to your body, things start changing in our mind.
I'll tell you, like I said, I came from a very primitive in that aspect background. You know, we didn't have much, and you know, and everything that was in Hebrew letters, it was good to eat.
Right.
Yeah, if it had the kosher symbol, it was good.
That's all is important.
And that's all you need. And I started to feel, when I started to like eating different things, I started to feel how the food sits in my body.
Right.
How it processes it. I have never felt that in my life. So like connected to my body that I feel like, oh, when I eat this is how it feels. And when I eat this is how it feels. And I'll tell you, my best friend is cucumbers.
Cucumbers.
Cucumbers is like what I carry with me when I don't want to eat junk.
Amazing.
But
it's yummy. It's crunchy and it's, you know.
I can't say it's yummy, but yeah.
But it does its job.
Right, it does its job.
Yeah.
No, and then you get used to it. And I now also strawberries, but strawberries is harder because of kosher, you have to clean them and peel them.
But do you feel that using the continuous glucose monitoring device?
Yes. So then I do have the Libre 3, which is continuous. It basically I don't need it at this point because Baruch Hashem, but it does like teach me how to be on top of it.
So let's tell everybody what it is. So a continuous glucose monitoring device, and he's using the Freestyle Libre 3, but there's different versions and there's different brands. There's the Dexcom also and a few other ones. Basically what it is having Michelle on your shoulder.
Yes, you can.
I had a patient call it having a
it's on top of the tefillin.
Oh, you have it all the way up.
Yeah, I put it on the way up because I put the tefillin over here.
Course.
It was always bothering me, but now.
Can you reach it?
No, it's too high.
It's too high.
It's too much muscle to show.
Oh. Okay.
Here.
Oh, there it is. So it's a tiny little sensor that has a little filament, a little thread that goes right under the skin. You don't even feel it, right? No. And so what it does is that it's measuring your blood sugar every minute, 24/7. The Freestyle Libre is a device that you keep on for 14 days. It has a little adhesive on it. After 14 days, you just peel it out and then stick another new one on. And really, it's basically a real time. It's real time seeing how your body is reacting to the foods that you're eating, the stressors of your life, because stress brings up blood sugars for a lot of people, how exercise affects us. What would happen when you were going to play tennis?
Yes. So when I go to play tennis, it usually beeps because it drops
Very
down
low.
very much.
Yes, because when we exercise, it makes our body use up sugar for energy. And it's really a very, very powerful tool. For me, I feel like the continuous glucose monitoring device is after the discovery of insulin, it's, I think, the greatest tool, the greatest discovery when it comes to blood sugar control.
I'm telling you, for me, I'll tell you what, like now, one of the things that you told me is basically like before you're going to eat anything sugar, is like right before you go to exercise. So then your body can burn it and process it.
Right.
And it makes a difference because I see.
Absolutely.
Well, I make myself sound like I'm a tzaddik, when it comes to, and I'm not.
Listen, you're doing a great job.
I'm doing
a great job.
And
it's
I have Nechami, my wife,
Yes, she's amazing.
a great, I would say, inspiration.
Yes, absolutely.
to say it.
Yeah. So I really love this, and not only that people
Not
are
even if you have diabetes.
not only using it for diabetes, people that are diabetics are using it, but even for pre-diabetes, to understand your body, people are using this for weight loss as well, because every time our blood sugar spikes when we eat, it makes our body produce this big burst of insulin, and if a lot of that sugar is not used for energy, it gets stored as fat as well. So it helps for weight loss. It helps.
Also, if you're very organized, you can write every time, like you eat something, what you eat.
Very
important.
important.
And then you see how your body responds.
It's very important.
I have to do. I think that I have to do that more.
Yeah.
But it's great because then you really see. Because it's really. Tell us about what that you were telling me that there was a study in Israel. I think that would be.
Yeah, that's really
this study in Israel that kind of measures your.
Yeah.
Tell us about
So there was a study that was done in Israel. That was probably like 10, 12 years ago at this point. And it was using the Freestyle Libre, and they took 1,000 diabetic patients, and they collected stool samples on them, and on 1 week they gave them what we would call a high glycemic index diet, which would be a diet that is very high in processed carbs, high in sugars, things that will usually spike blood sugars, and then on week number 2, they gave them a low glycemic index diet, which is a diet that we would expect to be lower in sugar, more fiber, less processed sugars. And what they did is that they, first of all, they analyzed the stool samples of all these people, and they mapped out what type of microbes live in the gut of those participants. But then they had all of these blood sugar readings related to what they ate, and they actually put all of these numbers, thousands and thousands of blood sugar, hundreds of thousands of blood sugar readings, and they put all of this information into a computer, and they created algorithms. And what they found is that depending on the type of microbes that we have predominantly in our digestive system, it will actually make an impact on how different foods affect our blood sugars. So for example, you eat a banana and it spikes your blood sugar, and I eat a banana and my blood sugar is super stable. But then you eat strawberries and it keeps your blood sugar super stable, but I eat strawberries and it spikes my blood sugar.
Really?
Yes.
I thought that strawberries is.
There's a lot more to it.
Okay.
So even though the strawberry is a healthier food in general, not for everybody. Each person reacts to different foods differently. And so
you can contact Michelle for that study. I think it's amazing.
And you can actually test. You can actually test your stool.
He said, I think that the same way that every Jew needs a rabbi, I think that every Jew needs a nutrition rabbi, which is basically to keep in touch with your body. I think it's saying the Maimonides, the Rambam, which hundreds of hospitals around the world are named after him, thousands of years after his life. He, in his book of Halakha, of Jewish law, he devotes 2 full chapters on how you're supposed to eat.
What does the Torah say about health?
The Torah says that you have to, you have to guard your life very dearly, and you have to keep your body healthy so you can serve Hashem.
Right. So you
Once
first,
a person is not healthy, you cannot serve Hashem properly.
so
Did
you,
you know
first,
that?
so you first have to keep your body healthy in order to be able to then serve Hashem.
Mm-hmm. Well, say
It goes together, but
so you can't say, "Oh, okay, I'm going to wait until." But
of
really,
course,
when a
but it goes
person is
together.
not healthy,
Right.
he can't serve Hashem.
It's true, 100%.
If a person is not healthy, he's not allowed to go to shul. He's not allowed, or he can't do this, or he can't do that, and he stops him from doing many things.
Yeah.
And you can't serve Hashem properly when you're not healthy. Also, you don't feel well. You don't feel well. You can have the proper kavanah. You can have
Right.
the proper strength. So yeah.
Absolutely.
So I
So
think that
it's,
everybody needs a nutrition rabbi, nutrition rabbitin.
I like it.
We're gonna call you
I love
Rabbitin
it, I
Michelle.
love it.
But really for me, you're being a rabbitin because for me, it's been really an eye opener. And mamash, even though in like the habits is very hard to change
Yes.
when you come from a, I wouldn't even say from an unhealthy. In my house, Nahami is very healthy. He's come from an unawareness
Right.
of health. But I wanted to ask you something, and this is it true that in America FDA approves things that are very unhealthy as opposed to in other countries?
Yes.
That why? They
Because-
get paid. Okay, we can't say that. Delete. But it is. Wow.
It's
So in other countries,
listen,
really,
there's a lot of money in the
in the food industry.
in the food industry. A lot of money.
Yeah.
So
Well, I will say one thing, and I told this to many parents, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a nutritionist. I'm talking as a rabbi, but I know that a lot of kids have having hard time in school concentrating, and we
Yeah.
call it obviously chas v'shalom. That I'm not who to say that this is real and this is not. But I'm going to say, if you want to see a real change in your child, don't feed him sugar in the morning.
so sugar.
Nothing sugar. All the breakfast that we have in our shelves is full of sugar and unhealthy
It's
stuff.
a problem. And it's not only the sugar. The sugar is a huge component of it because again, when we eat sugar, large amount of sugar, it makes our blood sugar spike, and then there's a big crash, and it really makes the child very
Anxious.
irritable.
Huh?
Very irritable.
Irritable.
Very, lose control, lose attention, all of that. But also the artificial colors that they put into the cereals and into the drinks and to the candies and these artificial dyes. Here in America, they are legal. They are permitted. They put it into almost everything. And the FDA says that as long as it's consumed in small doses, it's not a problem. But
But it's not consumed.
Exactly. We know that a lot of these artificial colors are known carcinogens, and they're also known to cause altered behavior in children, ADHD type of behaviors, hyperactivity.
I was afraid to say that, but I know
No.
now as a grown up, I'm 38 years old. 38, I said. 38 in each place. No, I'm 48 years old. And I can tell you that it is, the food alters the way you feel in every aspect of your life.
Yeah. In
The
Europe,
way you speak, the way you think, the way you connect, the way you're more relaxed. It really is.
absolutely. And actually in Europe and in Israel,
Mhm.
artificial colors are banned from,
In Israel
Part-
also?
yeah.
That's nice.
they're banned. And if they add artificial colors, they have to put a warning. May cause altered behavior in children. They
Really?
have to put a warning label on it.
Shema Yisrael.
Yeah, yeah,
That's great. And that's crazy that we don't have it here.
Yeah. And even it's funny because even like now is Passover is coming, right? And my kids love bamba.
Bamba.
They love bamba. It's Israeli Cheetos, right?
Nice.
Made with peanut butter. But there's one bamba that is, I don't know if you've
No,
seen
I
it,
don't
the
like
fluorescent pink
Oh
color.
my
I
God.
don't know what flavor it is, cherry or who knows what color, what flavor it is. But it's actually colored, it's bright pink color, and it's actually colored with beet juice.
Really?
Yes. So even that, yeah, it's no artificial colors in
Right.
it. Yeah.
So, so I always say there's no big agenda in the world of getting people fat. It's just like everybody wants to sell and they're going to put whatever it is. That's all.
Listen, this is all about
No, some people
marketing.
have bigger, like, you know, that there is people out there who are looking to get rid of society. Or, no. Anyways,
this is really about, when it comes to nutrition, going back to basics, eating real foods. Foods that come from
I was
the
saying
ground.
about the breakfast, and I think that I think it's important because I deal with parents of new babies.
Absolutely.
And I always say that one of my big lines is that how come babies come without instructions? You know, like for everything we have an instruction booklet. You know, we have tips on, you know, how to use your iPhone, or, you know, everything in life comes with a booklet. You know, we don't read it, but it comes with it. So if you need, you have where to go. You know, you have YouTube channels that tell you how to build anything or fix anything.
Absolutely.
And then all of a sudden Hashem gives us a child, you know, a whole life, and, you know, no instructions. Like, what are we supposed to do? And my answer is that we have it in the Torah. It's called Dugma Chaya. You just have to be a living example. You don't have to teach anything. You just have to be. And whatever you be, that's what your child will get. It doesn't mean that he's going to be a copy of you. It means that he will take those values to his own life and to his own personality.
Huge when it comes to health and lifestyle and nutrition. Being a role model as a parent to your children is humongous. There's a lot of research on that, and how you eat and how you live your lifestyle, and if they see that you're active, that you're exercising.
So when you want to eat a burger, don't eat it at home.
These are all values that you're going to transmit to your children. I remember when my oldest was in kindergarten, and a few weeks into the school year, I wanted to him to get to know his friends from class, whatever. So I organized a little play date at a playground close by the school. And I invited all the parents. I said, whoever wants to come after school to a little play date at the park. Anyways, a lot of the kids came. And one of the mothers brought a whole box of juice boxes, I think it was. And she gave it out to all the kids. And my son, I don't know how old was he in kindergarten, 6 years old, 5, 6 years old. He said, no, thank you. And he actually came up to me and he asked for his bottle of water. And I didn't say anything. I wouldn't, in situations like that, I'm not going to say, no, don't drink it, you know. But he came up to me and he asked for his water, and she was in shock. She couldn't believe. She's like, I don't understand. Your son doesn't drink juice? And I said, listen, if he wanted to take, I would have said okay. But we don't drink juice in the house. We only drink water. He's used to drinking water. He loves drinking water.
All those juice boxes.
He goes all of us go around with our bottle of water. You know, that's what we do. And she said, how do you do it? None of my kids drink water. I'm so anxious about that. And I said, and do you drink water? She's like, no, I hate water. I'm like, okay, so you want your kids to drink water, but you don't drink water. What do you expect? That
Dugma Chaya. You have to be a living example. You don't need any instructions to raise your children. Well, you do need some pointers, but in general, it's like you live your life the best that you can, and they will live their lives the best way that they can. It's like basically like when we say in the Brit Milah, we say, Zeh katan gadol yeh. This little one will be like a big one. So I heard Rabbi Brenner, who was here with me also doing a podcast. He's a great, amazing rabbi, super smart and funny. And he said that when we say Zeh katan gadol yeh, it's compared to the moon and the sun. It says the moon receives the light from the sun. So we say, and the moon in the Torah is called the Katan, Maora Katan, the big, the small luminary, and the sun is the big luminary. So we say, Zeh Katan, just like the moon receives the sun from so the child receives everything from the parents when he's a child. Gadoli, one day he will be like the sun, that he has his own life, or his own light.
Right.
And he would illuminate, but that light is part of the light that you're going to inspire him and give him. 100%. So you be the best that you can be, so he will be the best that he can be. And that is really how you serve. But I want to tell you a joke about what you said, because the joke is funny. There's a story, this funny story about this Rebbetzin, this shlucha, who was working in the supermarket, and she sees that there is this African American in Brooklyn. She sees this African American woman telling their daughter. The daughter wanted some kind of snack, something that she didn't want to give her, and he says, "That's not kosher." And the Rebbetzin was like shocked. And she says, she went to her and she says, "Are you Jewish?" He says, "No." He says, "But I work in a home that is Jewish, and I see that every time she goes to buy, and she doesn't want to buy something to their kid, she says, it's not kosher," and that's the end of the discussion. He says, "I learned how to do that." He says, "I just not kosher." You don't have to explain it. You just say non-kosher, and she told me. So that was really funny. So now Pesach is coming. So I'll tell you, Pesach is coming, and we have this year we have Shabbat, then we have break Sunday and Monday, and then we have the Seder.
Right.
And then a meal in the morning, and then another Seder, and then a meal in the morning, and then soon after Shabbat, 2 more meals,
Yes.
and then another 4 meals the last 2 days of Pesach.
Lots of eating.
So it's 8, 10 meals, obligational,
Obligated.
with matzah,
Right.
and all the food of Pesach.
What do
Tell
we
us,
do?
what do we do?
What do we do?
How does Hashem put us such a test? you
To
know.
be honest with you, I actually admire Chabad during Pesach.
Well, oh, it's true.
Let me tell you, you guys do it right. Because out of everybody that cooks for Pesach, I have to say that after being at my sister's house, that she's Chabadnik, and she does it the Chabad way, I have to say that the Chabad eat the healthiest out of anybody else in Pesach. It's very impressive.
Basically, the rule in Chabad is we eat nothing processed over Pesach. Nothing is processed. Anything, not even if it has a symbol of kosher Pesach. Everything that we eat is natural, and then there is other things. Obviously, we don't eat rice. It's because Chabad is Ashkenaz and they don't eat rice, so there is no rice. And also, you only eat things that you can peel.
Right.
So everything that is like unpeelable,
You cannot have.
so then you can. So then you limit even the fruits and the
100%,
vegetables.
100%.
And yeah.
But lots of vegetables, right?
Yeah. Well, you don't know the unhealthy part of it. So since we don't use oil, so since many people don't use oil, some people do. It's a little flexible,
Yeah.
certain basic things. The extreme, they only
Won't
would
even
take
use oil.
wine that is homemade,
Oh, wow.
not that is processed. Or they would have it only for the Seder or for the meals that they have to.
Right.
But other than that, even matzah, some people would go to the extreme that because matzah is also something that technically, so there's like
So
a
they'll
lot.
make
a
their own
no, not
matzah.
matzah,
Wow.
but like they wouldn't eat lettuce, even though we eat it for the Seder, for maror, but they wouldn't eat it
Otherwise.
for the otherwise
Okay.
because is a problems with bugs and
Right.
Pesach. And so there's many levels of kashrut. But one of the things that is crazy is that since you can use oil because it's processed, so the way you make oil is schmaltz. Schmaltz is the fat of the
Wow.
chicken.
Right.
You fry it. Here comes oil. Then you take off the fat, and then you put the eggs over there. I have to tell you, that is some crazy
That's
thing.
pretty intense. Lots of saturated fat.
Well, is that but that's still natural, no? Right?
Yes,
It's still not
believe it or not, it's actually better than margarine. It is.
better than margarine.
It is.
So margarine, guys, no.
Big no.
What about in general, like candies in shul? The kids go to shul, they get candies.
That's a problem.
Hmm?
It's a problem. It's a big problem. I talk about this all the time with my friend that she's actually a dietitian. She works with children.
So don't come to shul because it's
And
Chas
she-
v'shalom.
And she tells me, Michelle, I don't know what to do. They don't stop giving them candies in school, in shul. It's really, I think we tend to overdo it.
Yeah.
I have
Because it's easier and it's cheaper.
It's
It's the
very
same
cheap.
problem.
But I have a friend in my shul that she has put it as her mission to bring healthy snacks every Shabbat. And I'm very proud of her. And she knows who it is. I'm going to send her this video so she'll get a little...
Shakoach.
Koach.
It says in Hebrew, Mimena ilmedu v'chen yasu. From her we should learn and
Amen.
other people take the
Amen.
initiative.
Amen. Ahí te lo
It's
voy a mandar.
amazing. I have a
Anyways.
thing with my little one. I have my bigger kids. Baruch Hashem, 4,
Yes.
the 3 girls, and Marshall, and then the Ellie. And Ellie is the little one, so it's kind of like the Nechami doesn't like when I call him the grandson. But I have a thing with them that candy is only for shul. Like if you go to shul, then you get candy. Otherwise, at home and during the week, there's no candies. Even if there is a bag of candies that I used to take to shul to give to other kids, there's no candies at home.
So you're creating a limit to it, right? And that's definitely a good behavior, knowing that in certain circumstances we can have those, but it's not something that we should be having on a all the time basis, right?
Let's say it creates good memories from shul.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, listen, Pesach is complicated. There's a lot of meals, lots of food. For me, again, it's going back to basics. Vegetables are kosher for Passover.
Right,
all vegetables,
right.
Always, we can always make extra veggies. In my house, anybody that comes to my
Chabad
house,
is a lot of potatoes.
They do
A lot of potatoes.
Yeah, a lot of potato. Everything with potato. But you come to my house. Anybody that comes to my house knows that there's always at least 3 different types of vegetables, and at least 4 different types of salads, protein, and a starch. But there's people, our friends that are vegetarian, they love coming to my house for Shabbat because it's literally one of the only places that they can go for Shabbat and actually eat a meal because there's so much to choose from. Because usually most people don't cook that way for Shabbat, right?
So I'll tell you, one of the things that I realized when I was doing, when I started this diet and everything, is to be hungry. I was never hungry.
Right.
Because we're never hungry. The only time you're really hungry is in Yom Kippur or the other fast.
Right.
You're never hungry because you always have so much access to food.
Right.
And especially me as a Mohel,
Right.
I always say, tomorrow I'm starting the diet, and then the next day I have a bris and forget it.
Right.
And then the next day. But be hungry is to wake up in the morning and to be hungry and to eat even a piece of meat.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. It's really it really feels good. It feels like
Absolutely.
I never to eat an egg with tomato and cucumbers. It's a different experience.
And so a savory breakfast. So that's one thing that we talk so much about the Mediterranean diet, right? The benefits of the Mediterranean diet. What do they eat in Israel? What's for breakfast in Israel?
Yeah.
You've been in Israel?
Shawarma.
No, but
What is the breakfast in Israel?
They don't eat pancakes.
Oh,
they
no.
don't eat cereal.
Right.
They don't eat. Maybe they'll have a little bit of yogurt with a little bit of granola in it, but their breakfast.
By the way, the yogurts today are not even yogurt. They're like
the ones in Israel.
sugar.
No, but I'm talking about they use for breakfast. They don't use sugary yogurt.
Right.
They use
Vinaigrette
sour. Yes. The real yogurt that has no sugar added to it, right? And lots of vegetables always for breakfast, lots of salads. You go to a nice hotel there, and the buffet for breakfast buffet is insane, right?
It's healthier.
Right, very healthy, absolutely. So definitely we need to try to focus more on a more savory breakfast rather than a sweet breakfast, because that definitely sets us up for, I would say, for failure for the day, right? Because if we're creating big spikes in blood sugars in the morning, it's just we're gonna be craving that sugar all day.
Yeah, they go and then they have to sit right after eating. I don't know how many grams of sugar. The kids have to sit for an hour or 2 hours in the first two classes, and then they're going crazy.
Yeah.
And then obviously they're gonna send us a note that the kid is having trouble in school. But if they eat healthier.
Absolutely.
Even if I would even go to an extreme to say there was somebody who we have seen a long time ago for one of my children. He says every day in the morning before you go to school you do 60 jumping jacks, and it seems a lot in the beginning, but it takes really 2 minutes,
right?
And it really pumps up the heart, and then and then it gets them pump the blood, and then they eat breakfast. The food goes in, and then they go into school
Right.
feeling
Energized,
good.
yeah.
So kind of like, that has
When
to
you
be,
go to the gym in the morning,
huh?
I usually, when I go exercise, I exercise early in the morning, 6 in the morning. I feel great the rest of the day.
Yeah,
like,
so
it
I'll tell you,
energizes you.
when you go to the minion, it gets a little complicated to go to the
Yes.
gym before.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because so when you have this Torah life, it's kind of like it takes you don't have
a
to
little
you
bit
have to
more
work it
difficult,
out.
yes.
It's like in the school when you go to a Jewish school, so they have to balance between the secular studies and the Jewish studies. So if the kid goes to a public school, it's only secular studies,
Right.
and
The
then
day
they
is
have
shorter.
8 hours a day of secular studies. And now they go to the Jewish school, they have only 4 hours, and then they have tefillah, and then they have holiday and Rosh Chodesh and Shabbat, and so all those things they have to balance, and they have to, have much more to put into that same amount of time.
Right.
So the same thing is in your Jewish life, you have more, but
You
you
have
have
to
a
balance
busier life and a healthier life. A life should be very busy.
Right.
It should be full with like good things that you do. And part of what it says that there's another joke. It says about Yaakov. Yaakov was the third of our forefathers, and he had 12 boys and 1 girl.
Right.
Yeah. So it says that Abraham created the Shachrit, the prayer of the morning.
Right.
Yitzchak, the second, created the Mincha,
midday,
which were the main two. And then Yaakov didn't have any prayer because at
Right.
night people were sleeping of Hashem. So he says that the joke is that his wife called them to help her put the kids to sleep. So he says, I'm going to create another prayer. So he created a read. So he was
funny.
either go to shul or put 2 kids to bed and showers to 12 kids. So,
That's great.
so but anyway, the idea is that we have to balance more. We have to put more into the day. The day is fuller because we have tefillin, and we have talit, and then we have prayer, and at night when we go to bed, we have to say Shema. We have to say Shema with the kids, and then the fruit, and then the prayers before the food and after the food, and then washing the hands before you eat. And
Yeah, but there's a saying that if you need something done, give it to the person that has 3 jobs and
busy
4
life.
kids.
Right.
Absolutely. Why? Because they'll get it done.
Yeah.
The other person that is not working and not doing anything will find every excuse to not get it done. Right?
One of the things that I teach a lot, I'm very passionate. Obviously, the Brit Milah is my first thing, my babies.
Right.
But one of the things is I teach a lot of Shalom Bait. Yeah. And I say, if a person doesn't have, imagine like waking up a Sunday morning, you have nothing to do, you stay in bed, one stays in bed longer, you get a little like lazy mode, and then the kids are getting all annoyed and jumpy, and then they become a fight.
Right.
If a person Sunday morning wakes up, goes to shul, he takes the kids to shul, and then he comes back, and then he has breakfast, and it creates a seder.
Right.
The Pesach is a seder. Creates a beginning and an end to a day, and it's important, And then the day finishes when you go to Mincha,
Yes.
and then you go to Mincha with the kids, and then they can
full day.
they can finish the day, and then you go for it. Ya casi, un minuto. Después lo cortas. Anyway,
Yes.
Michelle, you have anything to add? There's
Anything to add?
enlightening avenue, really. I tell you that I started doing I was always feeling with doing the little videos on Instagram. I kind of like wanted to tell people what the Torah tells us more, and have people who have like different views, and they see the Torah from different perspectives than me as a rabbi. You grew up with it, and it's very enlightening to have you here, not only as a nutritionist and as a friend and as a close family friend, but also as a rebbetzin in your area, an inspiration in your area, because I think I know that you're very involved in your community, you're very active. I know your husband is also very active in the community. Dory, a great guy. And I know your kids, Baruch Hashem, and it's really so nice to know you.
Thank you. I'm so happy that Hashem put you in our path, our family rabbi.
Yes. That's such a big title.
Yes.
Family friend.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you something about Pesach, and with that we're gonna And one of the ideas of Pesach is to know that we belong. All the ceremony of the Seder of Pesach is about to tell our children that we belong. That's why we even count the children, the tzaddik and the rasha, the good and the bad, because
Everybody's
it
important.
doesn't matter. You belong here. And this is what the message of Pesach is throughout the entire Pesach. And you need this and you don't need that. And at the end of the day, the whole idea is we belong to this nation. And I think that the enemies are doing a great job showing that to us. We're really all one family and each one can have their ideology and their things. But at the end of the day, we're one family.
Beautiful.
We have an amazing Pesach kasher v'sameach.
Amen.
Not only kasher, but also sameach.
Thank you.
And you, your family, and all of Israel, and this year should be a year of Geulah,
Amen.
redemption from all the enemies. And we should see miracles. We are in the month of miracles. Nisim, Nisan is from the word Nisim. And we always have to ask Hashem for miracles. We don't have to ask for the expected, but we have to ask for miracles.
Yes.
So we should see miracles. We should see all of our shvuim. How do you say shvuim? Those who are captives. Those who are captives.
The hostages.
Incredible to think that it's over 6 months and, Bezrat Hashem, we should bring it back with miracles.
Amen.
With a healthy soul and a healthy body. And Bezrat Hashem, we should really, everywhere the Jews are, we should be able to live a Pesach full of freedom and full of redemption and full of connection with you.
Amen. Thank you. Amen.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.